The first thing you need to know about me is this. I was the king of Vegas. Not in the way people say when they've had one lucky weekend. No, I lived on the Strip. Blackjack, baccarat, high roller tables. Those were my arenas. I didn't just gamble. I played with precision. Every hit, every stand, every bet, all calculated. I could read the table like it was speaking directly to me. Me. The casinos both loved and hated me. I brought in the whales, but I also made them sweat when I walked in the door. My name is Matt. You probably knew me once. My face was on billboards, in casino ads, even in some cheesy Vegas commercials. I was the man who couldn't lose. Until the night the world ended. It started at the baccarat table in a private room at the Bellagio. The room smelled of fresh cards and spilled whiskey. I was 5 hands deep into a perfect shoe. My pile of chips looked like a tower. Then I heard the first scream. At first I thought it was some drunk tourist losing a jackpot, but then another scream joined it, closer this time, followed by the sound of shattering glass. The dealer froze, cards halfway dealt. Someone burst into the room. A pit boss, his face pale and slick with sweat. "Everybody out!" he shouted. But before we could move, she lunged into the room behind him. A woman, in a blood-stained cocktail dress, her mouth wide, her eyes milky. She tore into the pit boss before any of us could react. The room exploded into chaos. I grabbed my chips. Not because they were worth anything anymore, but because instinct told me to grab something, anything, before running. I bolted through the service corridor, hearing the wet sound of teeth on flesh behind me. That was the first night I saw what Vegas became, a neon nightmare. The Strip still glowed like a carnival. Fountains still danced at the Bellagio. Slot machines still sang their cheerful songs, but the streets were filled with running, screaming, and the things chasing them. I ducked and ran, weaving through alleys, dodging infected bodies that lunged from doorways. I dove into a kitchen back door and slammed it shut, barricading it with a rack of plates. That's where I stayed until morning, listening to the city die. Days passed. I learned quickly, stay low, stay quiet, stay alive. Vegas became my hunting ground. The casinos I once ruled became my supply runs. Sneaking past corpses and shadows to grab water, liquor, stale pretzels, whatever I could find. I played survival like I played the tables, calculate risk, wait for the right move, then act fast. But the city was crawling with them now. They didn't just wander, they hunted. I had a close call one night at Caesar's Palace. I was scavenging chips and bottled water from a blackjack table when I heard the groan behind me. By the time I turned, there were 3 of them. I swung a chair like a bat, smashing one down, then sprinted across the casino floor as their moans grew louder, calling more. I barely made it to the service elevator, slamming the gate shut as fingers clawed through the gap. I thought I was alone in this city. Then I met Megan. I found her in the Venetian, holed up in one of the lounges. She had flipped over tables, stacked chairs, a barricade that looked like she knew what she was doing. She was drinking straight from a champagne bottle when I stumbled in. "Wow," I said, catching my breath, "you throw a good end-of-the-world party." She leveled a pistol at me. "Take one more step and I'll paint the carpet with your brains." She looked familiar. Then it clicked. "Megan West?" I said. "Hollywood Megan West?" She lowered the gun slightly. "You recognize me." "Of course I do. You were on the billboard across from the Bellagio for like 6 months. The red dress campaign." She smirked. "Guess that worked. You a fan?" "I was," I said, "until the world turned into a buffet." She actually laughed, a sound I hadn't heard in weeks. We teamed up because neither of us had a better choice. Megan was tougher than I expected. Smart, quick, and good with that pistol. She'd been in town for a charity gala when the outbreak hit. Most of the others with her didn't make it. "I was famous yesterday," she told me one night as we sat behind a blackjack table, sharing a bottle of warm whiskey. Now, just another scared human trying not to die. Welcome to the club, I said. Over the next few days, we worked together to clear buildings, find food, and map out safe routes through the Strip. The casinos became battlegrounds. One night, we had to cross the main floor of Caesar's palace to get to the kitchens where food was still stocked. We moved table to table, crouching low, but the moment a chair leg scraped the marble floor, they came. Dozens of infected, staggering from every corner. Megan opened fire, and I grabbed a blackjack shoe, the heavy metal thing dealers use to hold cards, and swung it like a club. We fought our way across the casino, jumping over corpses and shattered chips. By the time we made it to the kitchen, we were both bleeding, covered in sweat, shaking with adrenaline. "Remind me to never gamble with you," Megan panted. "Hey," I grinned. "I told you I play to win." Our last night in Vegas was the closest I came to death. We needed to get out. The Strip was too hot, too many infected. The desert beyond might hold a chance, but the only way out was through the service tunnels that ran under the Strip, and the entrance was inside the baccarat lounge of the Wynn. The lounge was full of them. I looked at Megan. "One last bet?" She nodded. We set off alarms on the far side of the casino. Slot machines blaring, lights flashing. And the infected swarmed toward the noise. We ran through the lounge, knocking over tables, slipping past them by inches. One of them grabbed me, dragging me down. Megan shot it in the head and yanked me up before another could lunge. We made it to the service tunnel just as the lounge behind us filled with shrieks. We surfaced just outside of Vegas, climbing out of a maintenance hatch. The Strip glowed behind us. Fire, neon, and death painting the skyline. Megan stood next to me, silent. "So," she said finally, "blackjack champion, still think luck's real?" I looked at her, bleeding, exhausted, alive. "No," I said. "Luck's a myth. But you're the best hand I've ever been dealt." She smiled, and for the first time since Outbreak night, I believed there might be a future. We turned and walked into the desert together, leaving Vegas to burn behind us.